Здоровки, амиго. Погнали посмотрим плейлист от подписчика по витуберам. Так.
When she awoke, she saw something strange. Indeed. A blue and green world. And it looked much like her own, in fact. It looked peaceful. Little did she know, this was the single most chaotic planet in all of the universe. For some mysterious reason, it was populated by demons, angels, cyborgs, caribous, artificial intelligences, aliens, liches, gangsters, geniuses, and the most terrifying of all, humans. Humans have dissected nearly every single species on their planet, including their own. They love to see the insides of things unfamiliar to them, but they didn't seem all that interested in her. Beyond figuring out some way to destroy her, that made her a bit sad. But surely, if she was able to be useful to them, she would make some friends. All she had to do was find some way to be useful. Perhaps finding food like on the previous world would do. Stores similar to this one did in fact exist on the ancient world. But everything was free. And so, the peculiar lady accidentally ended up committing a crime.
You have to pay for that.
We've secured the entity. Prepare for collection.
Move! I'm taking over.
Everyone retreat. Staten.
There you are.
Вольфрамовая крыса, серьезно?
Found you. Please excuse the humans. They're all bark, no bite.
Вообще, во всей вселенной крыса почему-то принимает очень много участия.
I know just the place for you. And so it was that despite doing her very best to befriend the humans, the peculiar lady's first friend on Earth became Satan herself.
Reading your letters is like receiving a warm hug from all across the galaxy. I hold the memories we made dear in my heart. As for me, I think I finally found a place in this vast, wide universe where I truly belong. I'm home. And I hope our paths cross again someday, so I may tell you all about it over a warm cup of cocoa and maybe a glass of wine. Hi everybody, I am Matara Khan and I will be answering your questions here today. Hello.
Miss Khan, have you ever been in love?
Oh my. I'll have you know, I love all my fans, all my momos, and soon to be momos so much. Thank you for the question. The only natural and logical step is to become Momo. Embrace the hive mind. Become part of the swarm. It's so warm when you and I can share every single thought. Think about it. Bye, honey.
Еще и дразнится. Bye, honey.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to my VTuber debut. Oh, I'm so excited. Hello? Am I still cute? I did my research, and this is some information that I feel is important for you to know about me. My name is right there. Even if I tried to pronounce it for you, I don't think you'd understand. So the closest English equivalent would be Matara-san. You can call me Mata, Tara, Miss Claus, Mata-chan, Mata-mama, whatever you prefer, darling. I will respond, all right? My birthday is the day that I crash landed here on Earth, February 4th. My powers include creating a swarm around me, especially of momos, metamorphing myself into different shapes. Currently, I'm trying to grow human arms and feet so I may one day have a 3D debut. Regeneration of limbs, of mind, of body, of everything. Mind control, body takeover, soft hug, Sorry. But I found this new kind of book series, right? It's not very new, but it's called Warhammer 40K.
Причина, по которой я перестал быть киноактером, это потому, что на самом деле, мне не нравится гонка за успехом. Мне не нравится суета и беготня. Я хочу суетиться и бегать в своем темпе, непринужденно, медленно, делегировать свои задачи. Понимаешь? Я хочу быть уютно, как сейчас. И все же хорошо провести время.
Я думаю, что это совпадение все-таки. Голос, да. Совпадение.
Счастья недостаточно. Я требую эйфорию.
That's me. Hi, I'm Matara. Shoujo's newest debut. Hello. I am recovering from burnout. And I've been meaning to look into the Batman Arkham series. I know it's a really long series, but I like Mr. Man-Bat. He's a really nice Marvel character, and I look forward to getting to know him. Store clerk and military man, believe it or not, was me. Believe it or not, was me. With a voice changer.
You have to pay for that.
We've secured the entity. Prepare for collection.
Can you believe that? I didn't know my voice could do that, but there we are. You'll never see it coming. Bye-bye, everybody. Matara will matane. Bye, honey. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching.
Надеюсь, вам понравились клипы сладкие. Всем спасибо, я вас очень люблю. Пожалуйста, подписывайтесь на канал на Керо и смотрите все клипы. Быстро пошли все клипы смотреть. Пальчик ставить на все клипы. Давай, давай, давай. Спасибо, что вы смотрели этот клип.
You big drip. Where you going?
Reading your letters is like receiving a warm hug from all across the galaxy. I hold the memories we made dear in my heart. As for me, I think I finally found a place in this vast, wide universe where I truly belong. I'm home, and I hope our paths cross again someday, so I may tell you all about it over a warm cup of cocoa and maybe a glass of wine.
Блять. Не может Бля, она даже сама смеется. Вот же жопка, а. И может за бокалом вина. Ты посмотри на нее, а. А совпадение. Полное совпадение.
And maybe a glass of wine.
То чувство, когда все вот прям все прекрасно понимают, даже она сама, что ее узнают. Прям И она ржет с этого еще тоже. Ее это все равно забавляет. Она прекрасно понимает, что ее узнают. И узнают. Только я не знаю, глухонемой не узнает.
Worried that I will disappear forever. I am here to reassure you that I will remain a prevalent part of your lives. Just in a different way. A much more casual and carefree way. Instead of being at the whims of trends and markets, I will no longer be on the big screen. I will now be on the smaller screen of your PC monitor or the even smaller screen of your mobile phone. Hi, everyone. Hello. Now it's finally me. I'm actually not pre-recorded. That's me. Hi, I'm Matara. Shoujo's newest debut. Hello. Gotta be honest with you, the reason that I left being a movie star is because I don't really enjoy the rat race. I don't really enjoy the hustle and the bustle. I want to hustle and bustle at my own pace, casually, slowly. Delegate my tasks, you know? I want to be cozy, like I am now, and still have a good time. Happiness is not enough. I demand euphoria. I guess I should say everything is coming up. Matara. Oh my god, the merch is so loud. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I just killed your ears. I'm so sorry. No. I'm so sorry. No. I'm so sorry. Good morning. Wake up. Time to go to work. Bye-bye.
Тот сладостный голос Милфы.
Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Хотя вроде бы, по-моему, как раз-таки маманька-то не намного старше меня и моих товарищей. Сколько ей? По-моему, за 30-ку. Или ближе к 30-ке.
Have you ever, like, been involved in, like, any shipping stuff that you didn't like before?
No, not really. Even like sometimes if I'd be like, wow, I love women, I'd kind of follow it up with like, you know, very straight. Don't like, I love women. Like even yesterday, I was on a dating show, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, I will play, you know, anything with you, Apex. She's like, really? I'm like, okay. In the basis of this show, while we're doing this interview, I will play Apex with you. As soon as we're done, I'm always very clear to just like, this stays in this collaboration. And then I meant everything I said in the moment that I said it. Later, I don't mean it anymore.
That's like when you go camping with the boys and then like you like touch each other's dicks. But it's like camping, so it doesn't like count. Hello?
Yeah, I'm processing. Could you elaborate on that?
I don't want to anymore. Wait. Wait. I don't like the silence.
No. I was just like thinking. From what I've heard through my trusted sources, that kind of experimentation happens way more often than we think.
Oh yeah, for sure. I experimented a lot with my friends. Like a lot.
I think
the first time I kissed a guy was like.
Liked it?
No, it wasn't like a sexual thing. It was more like a, you know, it's like a homie kiss. You know when you're drunk and you kiss your homies? It's like one of those things. Except I wasn't drunk. The guy was drunk, but I wasn't drunk. And he went to go kiss me. And I kind of let him.
Как будто Мисту слушаю, а?
No, nothing is bad when it comes to this kind of stuff. It's, you're experimenting, you're trying, whether you, like, you can like kissing a guy and still consider yourself straight. I think that's super fine. Like, nothing is bad. It's bad if you, like, made fun of him after, you know.
You kissed me and I let you.
You like me.
Блядь, отстаньте, все совпадение, все сплошное совпадение.
Zen is stinky? No. I know Zen is stinky, but maybe I like the smell of car oil and rust. Don't you? Zentrea smells like rusted metal, sweat, oil, maybe a little cigar. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's nice. Cigar, whiskey, or actually no, I feel like car mechanics in movies and lore, they're usually depicted drinking beer, right? So I guess it's more like the Pabst Blue Ribbon, right? Mm-hmm. I like it. I like it. And also Zentrea has fur, so a little bit of fur sweat. You know that like that wet dog smell? Yeah. Come here, Zen. Let me smell you. Sniffa. Sniffa, sniffa, sniffa. Do you ever find when you're trying to smell something, if you open your mouth, you just smell better? Try it. If you go,
Не буду я пробовать, отстань.
it's fine. But if you go, it's like, whoa. Roach Mom's love is inside us, growing just like her eggs. I mean, yeah. Maybe my love is just my eggs growing inside of you.
Мне нравится, как волосы вот так вот делают. Так. Это необычно.
One touch from Fox Mom and you're infected. Oh. One touch from Fox Mom and you're infected. Oh. One touch from Roach Bug Mom.
Совпадение. Она поняла. Она сказала, потом поняла. Да будут подкалывать. Будут, конечно, подкалывать этим.
One touch from Roach Bug Mom. I'm so red in the face right now.
Не палимся, не палимся, не палимся.
I'm a foxy roach mom. And I'm one hell of a woman. Where were we? I forget with Mista today. Were we talking about Vermintide or Darktide? I forget with Mista today. Were we talking about Vermintide or Darktide? Vermintide is fantasy, right? It's not 40k. And Darktide is 40k, right? Yes, the Discord is going to be opening this Friday. Oh, shit. With Mr. Kuro. With Mr. Kuro.
Опять оговорочка? Блять. Я вот ждал, когда она это самое, когда она поймет, что она говорилась. Она сказала Миста, а потом такая... Блять. 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 Она так непринужденно.
Yes, the Discord is going to be opening this Friday.
Это хорошо, хорошо.
I forget with Mista today. Were we talking about Vermintide or Darktide? Vermintide is fantasy.
Как же не этот, как его, Штирлиц прокололся?
Right? It's not 40k. And Darktide is 40k, right? Yes, the Discord is going to be opening this Friday. Oh, shit. With Mr. Kuro. With Mr. Kuro. With Miss Mr. Kuro. With Senor Kuro. It's gonna take me a little bit of time. It's muscle memory.
Как же не палится вообще? Как же не палится?
I have a question for everybody. How on time people in Shoujo? Because the collab started 4 minutes ago and nobody's in the collab room. Is this gonna be a common thing? Is this gonna be a regular occurrence? Let me give them a little bit of what the children call shit posting. I'm gonna post. What is the gif of like the man alone on the beach? Does anybody know what I need to write to find it? Man alone on beach. It's like a little old man staring at the beach. Sad Keanu. No. Pablo Escobar. No way. Oh my god. Okay. It is actually... Yes.
Когда... И интересно, когда ты раскроешь тайну, что ты знаешь русский язык, а?
You're right. Oh my god, you were right. I thought you were memeing. I was like, haha, this is funny. I'll look it up. But you were not kidding. Oh my god.
Вот он, размер настоящий, Матара. Спокойной ночи. Кто спать ложится? Днем. Или ночью.
Sorry, seeing somebody say, my dog's going crazy. I'm sorry, that made me laugh. Oh, you scared me. Hi!
Hi!
Hello, baby. How are you?
Oh my god, do you know how nice it is to hear you?
Oh my god, we're finally collabing.
Finally.
I'm so excited. Our first collab together.
Yeah!
We've never
I don't
collabed before this.
We've never collabed ever in our lives.
Which is why it's
This
so
is the-
exciting.
Yeah, me too. This is our first time ever in the life. Well, I'm a trained opera singer. That's what I went.
Oh.
I had a horrific throat infection. I lost my voice for a year and I could not speak. I was unable to speak, and essentially it's what killed me from singing. Basically, it stopped me from singing. And I remember that was like one of the most depressive moments of my life. And I just never thought that I could sing again. And when my voice came back, I also noticed that it was a little bit higher than it used to be. I don't know why. The doctor said it's probably because of damage or whatever. I don't even know. It's just I've always had a higher pitched voice. It just came back super higher when my voice came back, and I'm like, what the heck is this? I like to explain it like I'm an extrovert who was forced to live an introverted lifestyle because I was always a very curious child, and I was adventurous, but out of all my siblings, I came out pretty sick. And
Она говорит в таком времени, кому-то всегда была, жила, делала. Там, знаешь, такое навевает такую мысль, как будто уже это самое, помирать собралась.
I was always sick, and my parents were very, very, very protective of me. They were afraid any little step I take, I would get ill. And so I was very sheltered growing up. I remember I would love to play outside, and I would love to hang out with my family and my cousins and stuff, and they were always going out and doing a lot of fun stuff, but you know, I had to get left behind a lot because I was always stuck at home. When I was a kid, my mom gave me a pep talk, and she told me, "Now, Mouse, you need to understand that I know that you're sick all the time." And this was like before I got diagnosed with CVID. She told me that I was born different and not everybody was born like me. and I have to work twice as hard to be normal, twice as hard to be as good as everybody else. And it happens to some people, and to not feel bad about it. And I appreciate the conversation she had with me, but it's like it kind of like put this mindset in me where it's like I need to work twice as hard. I need to work 3 times as hard. And I put a lot of pressure on myself. And I'm a little bit of a perfectionist when it comes to things because of that fact. I've been seeing a lot of doctors since I was very young. I don't think I bounced around a lot, but I saw a lot of specialists because it always just seemed like something was wrong with me. And my family were very concerned. So growing up, they kind of like thought that it was just like asthma and allergies with like something else, but they didn't know what the something else was. It's just, oh, well, maybe if we try this, she'll get better. Or maybe if we try that, she'll get better. And nothing ever seemed to work. I had like really bad food allergies growing up, really bad allergies to everything was like allergies because I was always sick and I always had respiratory infections and I always had sinus infections and I would get constant ear infections. And it got to a point where I started missing so much school, where I was always in danger of getting kicked out of school, getting in trouble, and I always had to work extra hard to get good grades because I missed so much school. And I would make up for the fact that I was always not there with doing very well in school, and I it was just a very overwhelming thing. I don't I would like to say that I didn't really have much of a childhood. I didn't get to enjoy all the things that normal kids did. I did enjoy some things. I'm not gonna say that I didn't because there were a lot of things that I did get to do, but it was mostly inside. I wasn't allowed to play sports. I wasn't allowed to go to PE. I wasn't allowed to do anything that overexerted me, anything that had to do with, altering like my breathing or, it was just, it was a lot to take in as a kid. I remember feeling very upset growing up, thinking that life was very unfair. Why did this have to happen to me? Why do I always have to be sick? And how come everybody just says that it's asthma and allergies? But my friends have asthma and allergies and they're fine and they can go out to the pool and do all this stuff. And I can't really do any of those things. So my parents were very adamant about refocusing my feelings. And I got into music and I got into performing, which was something that I could do. So I didn't really do much of like the normal kid stuff, but because I had a vocal lesson teacher and all this stuff, I was able to like get into like performing arts and sing and do some light dancing and stuff like that. So I was able to just hone all the I don't want to say anger because I wasn't really angry. I just felt like life was very unfair, and I was able to hone all that and distract myself with performing. I remember growing up thinking, "Oh, when I become an adult, I'm not going to be sick anymore, and I'm going to be fine, and I'm going to live my life, and I'm gonna be a singer because I've always wanted to be an opera singer since I was like 4." I'm like, I'm gonna be an opera singer and I'm gonna be traveling. I'm gonna do this. And because my doctor's be like, you'll grow out of it. You'll grow out of it. It'll be fine. And I was like, well, you know, once I grow out of all this stuff, I'm gonna be fine and I'm gonna live my life. But then when I got a little older, like I hit like puberty, things got better a little bit. Puberty kind of like helped me out a bit, and I started not getting as sick as much. And my doctors were like, "Oh, well, she's getting better. She's improving. That's great." And I was happy. But then it's like I feel like everybody goes through this because I remember when I first got diagnosed, I was really scared, and I was able to find like support groups and stuff thanks to the IDF, and I was able to find other people like me thanks to the IDF. And a lot of people's stories were very similar to mine, where it's like they got better for a time, but then all of a sudden something happens and it just all goes bad again. So I was fine for like my first teenage years, and then all of a sudden I hit 18 and my body was just like, nope, that's it. Everything started going haywire again. And it was worse than when I was a child. And it was very overwhelming for me because I'm here trying to make it through school and I had to drop out of school because I just couldn't Oh God, I'm getting a little emotional thinking about it because I just remember one time I had a teacher come up to me. My teacher was like, "Mouse, you were struggling in my class and you missed so much class. And I noticed that every time you come back to school, you're worse, you're sick, and it's hard for you to pay attention." And she was like, "I suggest that you should drop out of school." And hearing
Mm.
that from a professor just affected me a lot because I felt like everybody was giving up on me and I was working so hard to try to make it, to try to do something because I was the only one in my family that was like this. I was the only one in my family that didn't finish school. And I'm like, I have to finish school. I have to do this. I can't be the one that doesn't get things done. And I was very upset with my professor at the time. I remember for a time I was like, nope, I'm not gonna listen. And I kept going to school. And then I went through one of the worst bouts of illness that I've ever had where it knocked me out for like 2, 3 months. And I was like, okay, maybe I should not go back to school. It's just been like a constant struggle of trying to pretend to be normal and try to function like a normal person. I remember some of my worst infections were right before I got diagnosed, and I was going from doctor to doctor trying to figure out something. They kept telling me, "Oh, go to this hospital and go to this research hospital, see this." But unfortunately, I live with my parents, and because I couldn't hold a job, my parents paid for everything, and my parents are elderly. uh, by the time this whole moment came around, they were already at retirement age, and my parents had to unretire. To they couldn't retire because they needed to support me, and it was very, it was a lot. Um, it was a lot for me because I care about my parents so much. They've been there for me, and I just remember growing up thinking and waking up sometimes late at night and just seeing my mom cry because she doesn't understand what she did. My parents are very religious. They're very Catholic. So to my mom, she feels like she did something wrong for me to come out this way. And she just doesn't understand why. And I just remember seeing her in despair like all the time because she just wanted to do something to help and she couldn't. And we were struggling pretty bad. And a lot of the medication that I was on was very expensive. And I was like, okay, well, I need to find a solution. And I found my old I saw an immunologist one time when I was younger. I don't know what exactly happened that just it didn't like work out or something. I honestly don't remember. I think it was because our insurance changed and we couldn't afford to see them. So I couldn't see them anymore. And nothing ever got done. I found them and they're still practicing. And it turns out that the insurance that we were on this time actually works with them. So I was like, oh, well, why don't we just go see this person? They're still practicing. And they were like, wow, you, you're all grown up now, but you're back here. And I was like, I explained to them everything that happened, and I said, I improved and stuff, but I turned 18 and everything just went to hell again. So I don't really know what to do anymore. And, they looked over my history and they said, these are a lot of infections back to back. And these are a lot of hospitalizations. And they were like, I think I want to get you tested to see if maybe you have a primary immune deficiency disease. So the first thing I got tested for was cystic
Oh.
fibrosis, which came back negative. Everybody thought that that's what I had because the respiratory infections I kept having was just insane. I think we also tested for uh alpha 1 that came back negative, and they're like, we're gonna test for primary immune deficiency disease, and I got the pneumovax vaccine. And well, it's so funny because uh, I had just gotten over a very huge illness. I just had a surgery. I had sinus surgery done, and I was really ill, and my family was on vacation. And I remember I got a call from my doctor, and my doctor was like, well, we really need you to come in. And I'm like, okay. So I went in and they were like, I know what's wrong with you. And I'm like, I felt relief, but I also felt fear. This is the moment that I've been waiting for. I finally have a answer as to all these years as to why they were like, we know what's wrong with you. Uh, you have CVID. And I'm like, what is that? And I remember my mom was crying because the first thing she asked is like, is she gonna die? The doctor's like, well, if she takes care of herself, she'll be fine. And I was just like, okay, but that's when all these questions started appearing. And I'm like, what is this? I've never heard of this before in my life. And the doctor sat down with me and explained to me everything. And I felt like I didn't listen to a word because I heard common variable immune deficiency disease. It was like all of a sudden my brain, like what my soul went somewhere else. They were like, do you understand that you have to go on treatment? And I'm like, yeah, okay. I remember the day that I came home from my diagnosis, I just started Googling like crazy. I was Googling everywhere. I just found like the most vague stuff. And I found the IDF and I was able to get in touch with people. And I remember I was so terrified. I was so scared, but it was a bittersweet relief to me because I found people that were like me and I found people that understood what I was going through. But it made me sad because it's like the fact that other people are going through this too just tears me apart and it really makes me very sad. And it was a lot to take in. I did go through a time where I couldn't really like we had a lot of financial issues at home and it was pretty scary for a minute because I had to miss a lot of treatments. That was another issue that I had. I missed a lot of treatments because, you know, simply we couldn't afford it. We were having issues with insurance. Um, Also the fact of my age, I was so young, and the the insurance companies was like, "Well, she's so young, and she does. We don't think she needs this. This is very strange, and this is very expensive." And I had to jump through so many hoops to try to get things to happen, and sometimes it just didn't work out. So there was moments where I just couldn't get my IVIG, and I would get worse. The fact that I couldn't get adequate medical care and adequate medical resources to me because of financial issues I feel like that played a lot in my severity because I know it's different for everybody. My health declined in such a way where it's like I was so severe. I became so severe I couldn't be around people. Uh, any type of contact with like my family or with friends or I would get sick like so
Жесть.
quickly. Like it got to the point where I couldn't leave my house. I was always on medicine. I was always on IV antibiotics to the point because I couldn't take oral anymore because orals just did nothing to me. I started having malabsorption issues and a host of other issues that I would never even dream of having. I caught shingles. I had shingles. So many strange things happened back to back where it's like I just ended up having to get so isolated. I was put on oxygen. I had to get
Жесть.
you know, percussive therapy for my chest and
Я видел такой аппарат, который постукивает.
I had a nurse coming over all the time. I had to be on IV antibiotics and antivirals and all this stuff and not to mention all the stomach issues that you get and having my gut torn to shreds. A lot of issues and a lot of specialists that I had to see and it was just so exhausting that I couldn't go to school. I didn't have I lost I don't want to say I lost my friends because it was just like it was just hard to maintain friendships. And it got to the point where I started getting so sick I could barely get out of bed. I was bedridden for so long. My respiratory issues and all these other issues that I was going through, it just completely destroyed me. And I think like some of my longest hospitalizations were like months at a time. And you know, you stay immobile for so long, you start having atrophy and you're on so much steroids. They put me on so much steroids. I developed chronic pain. And it just affected my mental a lot. I remember one time I was in the hospital and I was with my sister and, you know, I was telling her how sad I was because I was like, man, I just I just really wish that I just could have done what I wanted to do in life. And I just really wanted to sing. And she's like, you never know what might happen for you. I'm like, I don't think it's gonna happen. Because at the time I was going through a really bad infection, and my sister was like, "Oh, you know, it could still happen. You just need to have faith." And I'm just like, "I don't think it's gonna happen. I don't even think I'm gonna make it out of here." And she was like, "You can't talk like that. You can't, because if you start surrounding yourself with that type of energy, it's just not gonna motivate you to, you know." She was very positive, you know, and sometimes that's the last thing you want to hear, but I'm grateful that she told me that, because then she was like, "Well, why don't you tell me if you were to get."
Почему бы что?
I'm grateful that she told me that, because then she was like, "Well, why don't you tell me if you were to get one wish granted, what would it be?" And I was like, "I would love to be a singer." And then she was like, "What kind of singer would you like to be?" I was like, "I think if I ever do singing, I just want to be a faceless singer. I don't want people to know who I am." Because at the time I was getting into something called utaite. Basically there's like a genre of music where it's like you have a persona and you never show your face, but you perform music and you upload it online. So I was like, I would love to do that. And she was like, "Well, you never know, you might be able to do that." I remember I would go online and I would play games and stuff, or I would like watch stuff, and I started watching streamers. I started watching people stream, because that kind of became like the thing to watch. You know, TV is kind of dying off, and I stopped watching TV. And I started watching streamers, and I started seeing how much fun they were having playing games and talking. And I'm like, man, I wish I could do that. I really wish I could do that. And I remember talking to my friend, and my friend was like, "Well, why don't you do it?" And I'm like, maybe I could, maybe, you know, see if I can make friends, because I just remember even being in a support group and talking to people with CVID and stuff. I don't know, I just felt so alone, even knowing that there were people like me, but because we were all like of different like severities, still like something in me that I just felt isolated. It was a lot, and I just thought, you know, maybe if I go online and maybe I could stream and like I can make friends and talk to people. And I also wanted to talk to people that didn't have CVID and that didn't have what I had. And there was a part of me that just wanted to just be normal and talk about normal stuff and not think about it. I went through a moment where it's just like, I don't even want to think about CVID. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to acknowledge the fact that I have it. I just want to forget that all this stuff is happening. I was scared to start because I didn't want to. I have a little bit of a complex regarding being sick because, you know, I'm connected to machines and I'm on oxygen, and I just felt scared. I didn't want people to see me like that. I didn't want people to feel bad about me. I just didn't want that to be a focus of why I was streaming and why I was online. I just didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want anybody to ask me questions. So I kind of like pretended like I was not sick for quite some time. I remember my friend was like, "Well, if you're afraid to start streaming, there's this program that you can use, and you can be an anime character." And I remember seeing this anime girl. Her name is Kizuna Ai. She was something called a VTuber, and I thought that was like a term just for her. Do like, you know, gameplay and like talking to people, and I just thought that that was the cutest thing, and I thought it was so adorable, and I was like, man, I wish I could do that, but it seems like it would be so expensive to do. I don't think I could ever do that because it seems like it's like it was a 3D rig, it was a 3D model, so I figured she's probably like jumping around and it's motion capture software and stuff, and I can't even get out of bed, so I can't do that. And then a friend of mine was like, you know, there's a program that you could use called Face Rig where you can be an anime girl too, and you don't have to like be in a 3D model, it's 2D, and it just tracks the movement of your camera. And I was like, "Oh, okay. I guess I could do that." My friend got it for me as a gift, and it's been the one of the greatest gifts anyone could ever give me, because that's what sparked my career and what sparked my love of streaming. And so I became this anime girl. I wasn't Iron Mouse yet. I was just random anime girl. I mean, I was Iron Mouse, but I was just like I wasn't myself. My character wasn't really fully realized. I was using like free models because I didn't have money. I thought my parents would never like help pay for any of this stuff. We can barely support ourselves with my medical bills, and they were piling up like so much. Also, I was still very ill when I first started, so I took a lot of breaks. Like I was not as consistent as I was now. When I first started streaming, I could only stream for like 1 hour at a time because I was so sick and so exhausted. It was hard to lift my head off the pillow. So when I first started streaming, I was laying down in bed streaming. I had my laptop on my lap, and I was using earbuds, like the Apple earbuds to talk on the phone. I was using a crappy webcam that was in a really bad laptop. Horrible. It was so hot. I ended up getting a lap desk because it would overheat from me like streaming for like 1 hour. And I remember thinking, man, this is it was like one of the happiest moments of my life starting streaming because even though I was doing it from like
Кто там на заднике плачет? Кто там ее там... Кому она рассказывает? Она неужели маме таракану рассказывает, как в прошлом сказали нам? Кто-то на заднике прям завывает.
this horrible setup from my bed. At least I felt like I was finally taking control of my life. Yeah, I didn't want to talk about it at all. I just didn't want to be seen as the sick girl online. You know, I wanted to be Iron Mouse. I wanted people to like me for me and not think about any of that stuff. I just surrounded myself in fantasy for a long time because I just didn't want to deal with any of that stuff. I felt like I've had too many years dealing with a bunch of depressed stuff, and I just didn't want to deal with it. It was a lot for me, and I know running away from your problems is not good, but it worked for me for a time.
Это старый клип. Мама таракан тогда еще... 2 месяца назад. Я просто только сейчас до меня этот клип донесли.
So I wish I could say I had an empowering moment as to why I shared it, but it wasn't really empowering. It was more like I started getting sick again because I it's a cycle with me. I think also I started streaming a little bit more, so my body was like, "What are you doing?" It was a time where I was having insurance issues and stuff, so I wasn't getting the meds that I needed at the time, and I still hadn't like started earning like a comfortable living. I didn't make any money at first. It took a while for me to make consistent money through streaming. So it was tough. The reason why I talked about it was because it was getting very hard to hide. It was getting extremely hard to explain why I would go away for so long, why I could only stream for X amount of time. And then my IV machine started beeping, and people could hear it, and
Я даже помню, как Конор заметил этот момент с громкими звуками. Я тогда, кстати, как раз-таки из-за роликов с Конором узнал о том, что у него есть проблемы со здоровьем.
I didn't have a proper microphone setup with a noise gate to like block out all excess noise around me so people would hear my oxygen machine. Like, it sounds like there's an airplane in your house. What is that? And I'm like, oh my God, I was so embarrassed. And I would like make stuff up. And then it got to the point where one day I was just like, I just need to stop making stuff up because this is just, I just need to say it. And after me having multiple panic attacks and worrying about people being like put off or like finding it weird, I finally talked about it and I explained my situation and I explained my health issues. And it was the most support that I've ever seen. Like, I was so overwhelmed with the amount of support from people that were watching me. I was so shocked because I was for sure certain that people would, I don't know, I always think the worst. But I think it's like I think it's just like through my experience. I always expect the worst at all times. And I know I shouldn't be this way, but it's hard not to be this way. I slowly started talking about it more and more, and I shared that, I have a IV machine and I named my equipment, and my IV machine's name is Rutherford, and I have my air concentrator. I just started, talking about it, and it was interesting because then I slowly started getting people who also had health issues watch me, and I started getting so many kind messages from people saying that how empowering it was to hear my story and to see me doing all these things, and that it gave them hope. Like, for the most part, I think I'm more of an optimist myself, but given my circumstances, it has led me to become pessimistic, but only when it comes to like my own stuff, not when it comes to like other things. It's weird. I'm very critical of myself. I always expect the worst, and I know I shouldn't, and I'm trying to fix it. It's just it's difficult. It's a hard thing to break, but it's only because of all the stuff that I've been through that I am the way I am. So I'm working on it. I'm working on it, but I try not to let that seep into like my streams or like any of like my content and stuff, because I just really want, I don't know. I just want to make people smile, and I want to make.
Господи, эта музыка очень странно появляется здесь. Ты такой настраиваешься, эта музыка откуда она? Кто ее сюда повставлял какие-то моменты?
Really want. I don't know. I just want to make people smile, and I want to make people laugh. I was living with extreme guilt for a long time because I was so ill that they were still taking care of me, and it's like I felt so guilty that I had nothing to contribute to the house. And then the whole streaming thing happened, and then COVID hit, and I felt even more guilty because they lost their jobs, even though they were supposed to be retired, but they lost their jobs. And I remember the first week, the day they got fired was the day that not fired, the day they lost their employment was the day that I essentially like blew up on Twitch because a friend of mine rated me, and I went from having like 100 viewers to like 800 viewers, and then 1,000 viewers, and I'm like, what is happening? And then a lot of people started watching me, and I started actually earning money from streaming, and it was just the overwhelming emotion I had when I I heard my parents worried because they're like, how are we gonna pay bills? Like, and I could finally call my mom to come to my room and tell her, Mom, you don't have to worry. I have money. And then she was like, where did you get it from? And I was like, my little she calls it my little show. I'm like, my little show on the internet? And she's like, oh yeah, the little show you do with your friends. And I'm like, well, I make money now, and it was just like an emotional moment because I was able to finally, for the first time in my life, I paid every single bill that my parents had. I paid off my mom's house. I got caught up on medical bills, and now I take care of my parents financially, and they don't have to worry. And I remember feeling so bad because not only did they lose their jobs, but because of me, they had to isolate completely because of the fear of COVID. And it was like the doctors told them immediately.
Ну, это я вообще просто не представляю. Представляешь, у тебя больной ребенок, ну, проблемы со здоровьем, ковид еще. Ведь ковид вообще вдарил по многим, это ж пиздец. Там просто вздернуться можно, это жесть. Ковид просто уничтожил столько жизней, даже здоровые люди в психике пошатнулись. Те, кто даже не так много поболели, либо не болели вовсе, все равно пошатнулась психика, потому что была и с работой проблема, и со всем. И тут можно сказать прям великое чудо, что все так сложилось.
Because of the fear of COVID, and it was like the doctors told them immediately. They were like, you cannot go anywhere because if your daughter gets COVID, she is going to die. And the fact that they had to stop going to church.
А, еще из-за иммунитета им ходить нельзя, ёб твою ти. Ей ковид вообще нельзя было подхватить. Я мыслил не слишком глубоко.
COVID, she is going to die. And the fact that they had to stop going to church, which is something that they love. They had to stop hanging out with their friends, which is something that they loved. they had to stop hanging out with family, which is something that they loved. They were just at home, locked up with me for 2 years, basically. And it left me with such guilt that I was just like, I'm going to do everything in my power to give my parents the best years of their life now, because I just feel like I owe it to them after everything that they've done for me. And thankfully, I was able to afford getting a new place. And I remember my sister was like, "What kind of place are you looking for?" And I was like, "I want a spacious house where there is enough space for me to be in my own area, and then my family can be in their own area. And if they want to have friends over, they can, and they don't have to worry about me getting sick because the house is big enough for them to have fun and have friends over and have family over and do whatever they want to do." And we found it, and now we're here. And my family, man, my mom and my dad, they're so happy, and it's like night and day. I just feel like we were all like going through the motions of life in our old place, and it was just a very sad vibe over there. Now over here, it's like my mom, for the first time, I saw her sitting on a couch watching a movie. I have never seen my mom do that in my life, because my mom is from the mindset where it's like, my life is to work for my children and to take care of my children and to make sure that my daughter stays alive and that she's fine. And that's been, my parents have been working nonstop for years, and they did not believe in downtime. They did not believe in any sort of like entertainment or anything.
Бля, как же это грустно звучит. И ты действительно это понимаешь. Понимаешь, как даже в обычной семье, когда ты реально видишь своих родителей только вечером, понимаешь, что они просто существуют на работе. Они живут на работе. И у нас, например, в России это прям суровая реальность. Я не исключаю, что до сих пор есть семьи, в которых родители горбатятся, прям горбатятся пиздец как, ради того, чтобы у их детей было все, что нужно. Чтобы в доме было все, что нужно. Чтобы была еда, чтобы был комфорт. И они пашут и пашут на износ, на жесткий износ прям ради этого. Я не исключаю, что таких семей даже очень много, к сожалению, в России.
And to see my parents just enjoying each other on a couch, and seeing my parents like eat a proper meal at the dinner table because I could actually afford to buy good groceries. It's just it's just so heartwarming, and I'm just really happy and very thankful, and I feel very blessed. And I'm just very thankful that I'm able to do this for them, and I want to continue to be able to do this for them until the day that I'm gone, which hopefully isn't anytime soon. But yeah, so I had to explain to my mom, because my mom, so I'm a VTuber. She goes, okay. And then I showed her my character, and she's like, "What are those things on your head? Are those horns?" And I'm like, "Yeah, because I'm a demon." She's like, "What? You're a demon?" I'm like, "Well, my backstory is that I'm Satan, and I'm on Earth disguised as like a girl named Iron Mouse. But it's not because I'm doing anything bad. It's because I escaped from hell because I don't want to live there."
Прикинь, да, блин, для религиозных родителей, да, мам, это мой аватар, я демон. Для религиозных родителей, уф, я понимаю, как это тоненько, это очень тоненько.
But it's not because I'm doing anything bad. It's because I escaped from hell because I don't want to live there anymore. I saw the human world and I thought humans were amazing and they're incredible and they do so many fun things, and hell is so boring. That's my backstory. But I know it's a lot because you say Satan and people are like, "Ew, what?" Especially my parents, they're super Catholic, and my mom was like, "Is there any chance that you don't have to be Satan?" And I'm like, "I'm sorry, Mom, that's already my lore. It's already locked in. I can't change it." And she goes, "Well, it's fine as long as you don't like make fun of like God and stuff. It's fine." I'm like, "I would never." Iron Mouse was. As long as you don't like make fun of like God and stuff, it's fine. I'm like, "I would never." Iron Mouse was Satan and is a demon. that means Iron Mouse also has an angel form. And she's like, can't you just stay as an angel all the time? And I'm like,
Ты можешь остаться ангелом навсегда? Нет.
no. I used to watch his videos. So I was like I'm not gonna say I was a fan because
Слишком глубоко звучит. Ты можешь остаться ангелом навсегда.
I would watch his videos, and then I found out I found out that he talked about me on his podcast. I'm like, what the heck? He talked about me? And he said he admitted to watching. I'm not gonna say I was a fan because
Ну-ка.
stay as an angel all the time.
Я упустил здесь просто
No.
контекст.
I used to watch his videos.
Его
So I was like I'm not gonna say I was a fan because I would watch his videos, and then I found out I found out that he talked about
Да про Конора резко
me
переход.
on his podcast.
Что
I'm
ли?
like, what the heck? He talked about me, and he said he admitted to watching me and my streams, and I'm like, oh, that's funny. And then after that, he messaged me, he DM'd me on Twitter. He was like, I really like your content, I think you're really cool. And I was like, okay. And I invited him on a show that I did with my friends from Shoujo. And then I ghosted him because I kind of like got nervous talking to him because I was still in a mind frame where I was like, I can't get close to anybody. This is too much. I was in a moment where I was afraid to get close to anybody. I didn't want to get close to anybody. So I didn't talk to him for a few months, and then that was like in November. And then in January, he messages me and he's like, oh, do you want to be in one of my videos? And I'm like, okay. And then that day when we were recording for the video, we talked for like 5 hours, and we've been like best friends like ever since. And one day he told me, he was like, man, it would be really cool if you could like meet up with me in Japan. Like, you would love Japan. Part of me was like, I felt so comfortable around him, and I wasn't afraid to be myself. So I was like, I'm just gonna tell him the truth. I don't think I was scared. I was really scared, so scared telling him. But part of me thought, you know what? If I tell him the truth and he doesn't want to talk to me anymore, and he thinks I'm weird, that's fine. It's okay. I'm not gonna hate him or anything. It's fine. So I was like, I can't go to Japan because I have a condition. And then he was like, what condition do you have? And then I told him everything. And I've never done that before. I just straight up told him. I was honest from the beginning. And I was like, I have CVID, and I explained to him all this stuff. He's like, I have never heard about this before. And he cried.
Ah.
He cried for me. We were talking, and he was telling me he wanted to do a cyclotton. And I was like, oh my. He cried for me. We were talking, and he was telling me he wanted to do a cyclotton. And I was like, oh my God, why? And he's like, because I want to raise money for charity. And I'm like, well, how long are you gonna do it for? And he told me, oh, a few days and whatever. And I was like, okay, so what charity are you gonna do it for? He goes, oh, I'm doing it for the IDF. I'm like, what? Like, why? And he's like, what do you mean, why? Are you not happy? And I'm like, I am happy, but I just want to know what brought this on. And he's like, I just want to have a beer with you one day.
Не, это сильно, это sильно.
Know about Iron Mouse. Yeah, that's another reason why I'm afraid to say stuff, because my voice is very recognizable. One, and two, because this is my voice. This is very recognizable. The only person that knows about Iron Mouse is my nurse, and it's because she comes to my house and she has caught me streaming, and she's caught me, and she's seen my setup, and she's like, what is all this? It looks like a space station, because I have like the multiple monitors. I have like all my equipment and stuff now. And then she saw my character, and she's like, what's this little character thing? And I'm like, I just told her, and she was like, oh my God, that's so cool. And she fully supports me, but she's like, you need to take care of yourself. You better not overwork yourself, because if not, I'm going to tell your doctor. I'm like, no, please don't tell them yourself, because if not, I'm going to tell your doctor. I'm like, no, please don't tell them. Sometimes I admit I'm bad. You know, I overwork myself and I push myself, and, you know, I know my limits, and I try to make sure not to go beyond my limits, because I know that if I do, then I can't stream. I wish I could have been diagnosed sooner, that's for sure. I feel like the only reason why it got so severe was because it took so long for me to get diagnosed, and it was a struggle because of our financial situation. So a lot of people that I meet with CVID that I've met online, it's so varied because there's some people that for the most part they're living a pretty normal life. But I got to a point where I just had to like completely isolate myself, and I was just so sick that I was just confined to my bed for a few years, and it was a lot. It was a lot for me. Uh it was very emotionally taxing, very spiritually taxing. Um, but thankfully, that time is over, and I'm slowly regaining mobility and slowly, learning how to live my life again, and uh I'm able to spend a little bit of time with family now, even though it's tough still, but uh I just wish I would have gotten diagnosed sooner. I really do. Sometimes I do wish I would have streamed sooner too. I think I was really scared to start, you know, but everything happens for a reason, and I'm just glad that it happened the way it did. And I do have that piece of me that wishes some stuff, but for the most part I don't. I think everything happened the way it should happen, and I'm happy that it did. It's funny because so, I've talked to Connor about this, or I'm like, man, I wish I wasn't sick, and I wish that I was normal. He was like, yeah, but if you weren't sick, you would be an opera singer, and I wouldn't know you. And I'm like, that's true. I was normal. He was like, yeah,
Оперная певица, я бы не узнал тебя.
but if you weren't sick, you would be an opera singer, and I wouldn't know you. And I'm like, that's true. But at first, I remember I used to regret the day that I talked about having CVID on stream because I received bullying from certain individuals. I did.
Я таких не понимаю людей. Вообще никогда в своей жизни не пойму людей, которые булят тех людей, у которых проблемы со здоровьем. Никогда. Нет, я понимаю шутки, над которыми и сами люди, у которых есть какие-то проблемы со здоровьем, могут смело посмеяться. Ну, если это переходит какие-либо грани и переходит в какое-то издевательство, либо просто вот издевательство, жесткую насмешку, негативную насмешку, даже так ее можно назвать. Есть безнегативная насмешка, есть прям направленно негативная, то, бля, я не понимаю, как, зачем и для чего вообще издеваться над человеком, у которого со здоровьем не все хорошо. Наверное, я никогда и не пойму таких людей.
Did get bullied a little bit, and there'll be the usual comments on YouTube or the usual comments on Reddit or somewhere saying, "Oh well, she's only popular because she's sick and people pity her."
Классика, 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 классика. Это как часто говорят, вот люди, у которых проблемы со здоровьем, что-то там выигрывают, их продвигают куда-то из какой-то жалости и все тому подобное. Хотя не так это все. Но да, может где-то это может и работает так, но в большинстве случаев люди, у которых нечто подобные болезни, либо травмы, либо что-то, они очень старательные. Есть действительно очень упертые, старательные люди, которые получше тебя будут с двумя ногами, руками и здоровым лбом. Гораздо. Во многом они могут быть лучше тебя, потому что они прилагают во множество раз больше усилий, чем ты. Тебе кажется, что ты прилагаешь много усилий, но ты не прилагаешь. Они прилагают столько же, сколько и ты много усилий. Еще и сверху это удваивается. Так сказать, дебафом, который на них висит, в принципе. Ну, это я не знаю, так только могу это сказать, по-другому не знаю как. У них нет, у тебя, в отличие от них, нет какого-то дебафа, можно так сказать. Вы вот наравне идете, но и им что-то мешает. И где-то, да, действительно, люди как-то относятся с пониманием, типа, ну, как бы, человек заслужил. Не потому, что его жалко. И даже некоторые люди, у которых действительно проблемы со здоровьем, они сами просят к ним справедливости, чтобы не было такого, что им из жалости там выпишут какую-то грамотку или что-то подобное. Это тоже не всем будет приятно. Ну, я могу... Нет. Я могу понять, почему некоторые так говорят. Могу понять, абсолютно могу понять.
On Reddit or somewhere saying, oh, well, she's only popular because she's sick and people pity her and blah, 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 blah. And, I remember thinking, man, I regret talking about this stuff because people always use that to hurt me. But I am so thankful.
Просто, знаете, обидно очень. Люди видят всегда конечный результат. Они никогда не видят то, через что проходит человек. Независимо, с дебафом он или же все-таки просто здоровый человек. Они никогда окружающие никогда не видят, через что проходит целиком и полностью человек. Они видят только результаты, либо итоги, например, да. Вот, например, есть популярный стример, все, да, ему это с неба свалилось и так далее. Хотя ни хрена подобного. Некоторые те же самые ютуберы, стримеры проходили такой путь, что просто представить вообще невозможно, либо сложно. Кому-то, да, бывает и повезло. И, ну, нельзя опираться на такую общую статистику, что кому-то повезло, значит всем повезло одновременно.
That I did share my story, and I'm so thankful that I did open up about it because the amount of good that's come from it outweighs any type of bullying that I've ever received. Anybody who says...
Не знаю, вот, блин, опять же прерываю. Лично я к Маусе отношусь как к очень интересному витуберу. Я, правда, иногда забываю даже об ее болезни. Точнее, даже я на ней особо и не зацикливаюсь. Я знаю, что она болеет. Я знаю, что у нее есть проблемы со здоровьем. Но почему-то нету каких-то в мысли, что типа я пойду смотреть ее стрим из какой-то, знаете, солидарной жалости или что-то такого подобного. Она офигенно поет, она офигенно проводит добрые трансляции достаточно. Очень часто благотворительные трансляции проводит. В ней очень много энергии, очень крутые стримы у нее совместные были с Конором. Я не знаю, сейчас проводит, не проводит. Она старается. Караоке-стримы, где она, несмотря ни на что, все равно поет и радует других людей. Поэтому только, наверное, глупый человек не заметит этих всех вещей. Либо смотрит слишком так поверхностно.
From it outweighs any type of bullying that I've ever received. Anybody who says nasty stuff about me or say that people pity me, well, they don't watch me and they don't care about my content anyway, so I don't care. I don't care about their opinion. I think the nicest thing for me, the thing that...
Я просто от себя могу добавить, свиньи всегда найдут грязь. Поэтому и плохие люди тоже находятся, которые будут булить, даже независимо от твоего состояния здоровья. Но то, что делает Маус, это, ну, блин, камон. Ребята, просто ознакомьтесь с данным витубером. Просто проследите полностью весь ее путь, проследите то, что она делает, как она это делает через что ей приходится проходить, а потом делайте какие-то выводы. Из жалости ли у нее такая большая аудитория или нет? Ну, сейчас, я думаю, наверное, большинство сообразительных людей понимают, что это далеко не из жалости, а все благодаря ее стараниям, где она преодолевает свои пределы. О чем она и успешно говорит, в принципе, и не скрывая, что она иногда рискует и превышает пределы, хоть она и знает их. Как бы, ну, я не знаю. Я не могу остановиться высказываться, потому что я восхищаюсь. Меня это восхищает. Восхищает то, что человек, несмотря ни на что, все равно двигается дальше и занимается любимым как бы делом. Меня это невероятно восхищает. Такие люди вызывают огромнейшее уважение просто.
Me, well, they don't watch me and they don't care about my content anyway, so I don't care. I don't care about their opinion. I think the nicest thing for me, the thing that... thing that touches me the most is having people. I recently did a convention, and I did a meet and greet at a convention, and to have other people come to me and say that I inspired them to just get out of, try to get out of bed and to not be afraid and inspire them and help them feel like just because they're sick that that's not the end and they can do things. And it was just a lot. It's a lot, and it means so much to me to have people be inspired and meet so many VTubers that have illnesses and that have disabilities and that they found a new purpose in their life through VTubing because of me. And it's so surreal, and it's wonderful, and it touches my heart so much. And I didn't expect to have this sort of impact on people. It just warms my heart that there's so many people out there that they can do anything with their lives. People's time is so valuable. That's the most important thing that we have on earth. It's time. And the fact that they are using that time to spend time with me and to watch me, it's just it I'm just incredibly grateful. And I it's a lot. It's a lot because it's like you could be doing anything and you're here watching me, and it just it's I just feel very, very lucky. I deal with imposter syndrome all the time, and I deal with a lot of other things. I still have a lot of fears in me where it's like, even though all this amazing stuff is happening, I always have this fear in the back of my mind where it's like, well, how long is it until it's all taken away from me because CVID wants to be mean? Where it's like, well, how long is it until it's all taken away from me because CVID wants to be mean to me again? I have a lot of worries and fears, but I try not to think about it. I try to think about all the positive things that have been happening, and I try to think about what I want to do. And I remember when I first started growing, uh, on Twitch, and this became like a career for me, and I became comfortable with talking about CVID. I remember being diagnosed and being afraid because I didn't know anybody who had this problem, and no one talks about it. I feel like no one talks about it in mainstream culture. No one talks about it out loud. It's still very like small because the community's small. And I remember thinking if I could just talk about it and reach at least one person and convince one person to donate plasma, it'll be a good day. Man, I think about it this way, CVID has like taken everything from me, but I've been able to acquire my life back also because of CVID. So to me, it's like it's such a big part of my life now, and I'm not afraid to talk about it now. That I just want people to know. I want people to know about it. I want people to understand it. I just think about how scared I was when I was diagnosed, and it's like I said, if I could stop that from happening and somebody's not so scared, I think I did a good job. And if I could get one more person to donate plasma, I think I will be content with everything that I've done, because I remember going through a few plasma shortages, and it was really scary because I couldn't get the plasma that I needed. And I'm like, man, if only more people would donate plasma. And then it got even more scary because of COVID happening. And I was just like, Jesus, it's
Можно было слово донатить, было бы написать правильно, жертвовали. Как бы это и имеется в виду, что жертвовали плазму, а то звучит донатили плазму. В тексте звучит странно.
more scary because of COVID happening. And I was just like, Jesus, it's terrifying because like if no one donates plasma, then what's gonna happen to us? So I was like, I need to just see if I could get more people to donate plasma. And thankfully, everybody's been so receptive, and so many people from my community donate. It's insane. It's crazy. I get so many pictures from people donating, and people like, oh yeah, I donate every other week, or I regularly donate now. And it's just like I'm content. I I think it's important for people to know that this is a problem, and we don't have to go through it alone and suffer in silence anymore. As much as I love being entertaining and I love being a little shit on the internet and I love, telling jokes and being a gremlin, and the most part for me, my number one thing is educating and teaching people about CVID and about PID and about donating plasma, and making sure that if there is another Iron Mouse out there and she's going through something like me and she's scared and she doesn't know what the heck is going on, she can know that there's other people out there that went through it, and there is light at the end of the tunnel, even though it seems like there isn't. Oh God.
Ну,
Well,
слушайте, очень-очень большая и интересная история. Хоть и грустная. Да, естественно, местами порой хочется сопереживать, но ты до конца... Все равно я до конца не все болезни знаю, не до конца понимаю какие-то проблемы, у кого какие есть, и не имею какого-то особого огромного представления об этом всем. Я стараюсь жить так, чтобы чтобы мною просто гордились, знаете. И я думаю, что люди с болезнями какими-либо, либо с инвалидностью, они тоже стараются жить так, чтобы ими гордились, они стараются сами жить для себя полной жизнью. И как бы, пожалуйста. И это самое главное. Хорошо, что она набирается сил все больше и больше и рассказывает нечто подобное. Хоть и ей все равно сложно через это проходить, через это воспоминание, понимание того, что у нее есть, что она все равно, у нее есть болезнь, с которой как бы тяжело бороться. Что ты реально, это очень страшно, жить с мыслью о том, что тебя может что-то прям реально убить, доконать. Там тот же самый ковид, и не дай бог заразиться, и все это просто... Все равно это, я думаю, что не знаю, мне страшно даже представить, как с такими мыслями жить вообще. Это страшно, это просто безумно страшно. Ее жизнь все равно похожа отчасти на борьбу. Борьбу за лучшую жизнь. Она борется и продолжает бороться. Даже когда кажется, что все хорошо, она продолжает все равно бороться. Вот и все. И за это ее можно уважать. Те, кто, опять же, слишком сильно сомневаются в Армаус, можете побольше ознакомиться с ней. Я не первый видеоролик с ней смотрю. У меня есть и плейлисты, посвященные Мяусы с Конором и с музыкой. И множество интересных историй от нее мы уже успели послушать. Да и, в принципе, на стримы даже заглядывал к ней. Особенно музыкальные у нее прям просто невероятные. Аватар она обновляла сколько раз. И обновляет по сей день. Блогер очень достаточно... точнее, витубер достаточно интересный. Поэтому, что ж, всем спасибо за просмотр. Подписывайтесь, кто не подписан. И увидимся в следующем видеоролике. Всем пока-пока.